Hello everybody, it's me Jack, and I'm back with the first of my Best Picture winner reviews for 2018. Today I'm reviewing the Best Picture winner of the year 2000, the year I was born, Gladiator. Directed by Ridley Scott and starring Russell Crowe, the film follows the story of a general named Maximus Decimus Meridius, leader of the armies of Emperor Marcus Aurelius, played by Richard Harris. Marcus tells him that he wants him to take his place as the new emperor, much to the dismay of his son, Commodus, played by Joaquin. In a bit of jealous rage, Commodus kills his father and attempts to have Maximus killed as well. Maximus escapes, however, and returns home to find his wife and son murdered. He is eventually captured and forced to fight for the people's entertainment as a gladiator. Gladiator proved an enormous success at the box office when it first came out. Critical reviews seemed mostly positive, although some critics, like the famous Roger Ebert, actually disliked the film. The film took home 5 Oscars, including Best Picture, as well as Best Actor for Russell Crowe. Shockingly, Ridley Scott was nominated but didn't win Best Director. It's always so ridiculous when that happens. It's like, if a movie wins Best Picture, then naturally its director should win Best Director as well. Anyway, Gladiator is a fantastic film. It boasts a fantastic cast, led by Russell Crowe as Maximus. Say what you will about Russell Crowe in real life, he's crazy. He is a damn good actor, and this is definitely one of his best performances. Maximus is a very tragic character. He fights for his emperor, but in the end, all he wanted was to just go home and be with his family. And when he comes home to find his family dead, it's truly a heartbreaking moment. You really feel sorry for him. When he becomes Gladiator, he's forced to kill other people for his survival, and to entertain people. However, during one of his fights, he defies the Emperor and refuses to kill the other man. He fights Commodus one-on-one, and in the end, he dies. But he's able to be with his family in the afterlife, which leads to a very bittersweet ending. Oliver Reed is fantastic in this film as the Gladiator trainer, and the very last role of his career before his death. He passed away during production and they actually had to replace him with a CGI version. You know, it's really crazy because this film came out in the year 2000 and the CGI version of him is actually really good and blends very well with the real version of him. I mean, in some shots it is kind of apparent, but still, for the most part, it's pretty damn good. Honestly, for the most part, I couldn't really tell. And yet somehow Rogue One comes out 16 years later, and the CGI Tarkin is so obvious. Anyway, he's fantastic in this movie as well, playing the role of the mentor towards Maximus, and encouraging Maximus to keep fighting for what he believes in order to gain his freedom. Richard Harris appears briefly at the beginning of the film as the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and by God, he's just incredible. Every single line that he says is almost poetic. I mean, not in the way it's written, but in the way he delivers it. He manages to make the simplest of lines just incredible to listen to. The absolute standout of this movie, though, is Joaquin as Commodus, in an Oscar-nominated performance. He comes off as a very sympathetic villain, but still not one that you like. You do still hate him. At the beginning of the film, he's shown to be incredibly cowardly, as he stays out of most of the battles, while Maximus is right there, in the thick of them, fighting. Due to this, of course, his father starts favoring Maximus over him, which creates a jealousy. And then, in one of the most emotional scenes in the film, his father tells him that he will not be emperor, and Commodus just starts breaking down. You feel all of the pain that he's going through at that moment. He realizes that he doesn't have any of the essential qualities that his father wanted him to have, but still tried everything that he could in order to gain some of his father's love at least. His father tells him that it ultimately is his fault because he's his father, and what starts off as a very loving, touching moment as his father hugs him turns into a disturbing, brutal act of murder as Commodus squeezes the life out of his father. There's somewhat of a resemblance to the character of Scar from The Lion King. He's basically a child. When he's given a position of power, he barely cares at all about the people, or any other politicians. He doesn't believe in democracy and instead wants to rule solely as the emperor. He's also shown to have a very creepy attraction to his sister. Like, yeah, the Luke and Leia type, except with them, they didn't know that they were siblings. He does. So, yeah, he's a creep. This movie is masterfully made, with incredible costumes that really engross you into this world. I mean, by God, these aren't actors dressed up as gladiators. These are gladiators. tigers. The shots of Rome are fantastic. There's only a little bit of CGI used here or there, but for the most part it's all real. The cinematography is beautiful. The shots of the desert at times look like something out of a painting. It's just beautiful. And the action in this movie is absolutely awesome. The opening battle is just epic. It starts off with one of the enemies holding the decapitated head of one of their soldiers, and it leads into a gruesome bloodbath with some great editing and an incredible piece of music playing over it. The gladiator fights are awesome too, starting off with some simple one-on-one fights, leading to a huge battle with chariots, and even tigers. This is a very graphic movie, but obviously the violence is very necessary. It shows you the brutality of being a gladiator. The final fight between Commodus and Maximus is pretty damn good as well. It starts off as a simple hack-and-slash sword fight, but as it goes on they start to lose their swords and it becomes more of a down, dirty fist fight, ending with a pretty awesome death scene as well for Commodus. The score for this movie by Hans Zimmer is outstanding. Hans Zimmer always delivers incredible musical scores for movies. Some of the music actually sounds similar to Pirates of the Caribbean, which makes sense. Hans Zimmer would go on to compose that music 3 years later. There's also the song Now We Are Free, which is a beautiful piece of music that really adds to the emotional power of the ending. What else can I say? Gladiator is an amazing film, and I'm certainly glad to have it as the Best Picture winner of the year I was born. It's a good thing I wasn't born in 1990. Ugh, get it away from me. If you haven't seen Gladiator, what are you doing, man? Get up off your butt and go see it now. It is worth every minute of your time. I'm gonna give Gladiator 10 out of 10.